That's one thing my wife told me that I was from a Christmas shop.
That made me think of the Christmas not very far away now. Not alone. Can't even believe it's December.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my mother says we got sales.
Yes,
so does my mother. Oh, and Don said it.
Okay.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman.
very good. By way of review, I've called the meeting to order. We have a quorum. We've approved the minutes of the November 1st meeting. Mr. Brian Crafton is about to present the 2021-2022 audit for us. Thank you for your patience.
Oh, you're welcome. So page 1, 2, and 3, independent auditor's report. As I said, you received an unmodified opinion, which just means it's a clean opinion. That's the opinion that you want. Basically, the financials that were presented to us were fair and accurate. We might make some adjustments to your books, but nothing that was material in nature. Next several pages, I'm not going to go over. It's the management discussion analysis, and it's basically a synopsis of the year, but from your perspective and not mine. So I'm going to go next to page 8, your statement of net position. It's like a balance sheet. I'll be brief here, but I'm going to explain real quick. In governmental accounting, when you do audits, we're required to present financials in 2 different ways. Most people are familiar with assets, and with assets, you have to depreciate those assets over some useful life. I'm going to show you a way that we're required to put those assets on there, on your books, and then there's another way that we will not include those as if they were expensed in the year that they were purchased. You won't see depreciation. The other big change that you'll see on here, if you're familiar at all, several years ago, we were required to put pension expense and pension obligation and other post-employment benefits on there. And for governmental entities, these are really, really large numbers. And so I'll kind of briefly just highlight those numbers for you. So as you can tell on this first presentation, you'll see assets, you'll see depreciation there. And then that deferred outflows of resources, that $250,524, that's part of the pension numbers. Again, these are numbers that you don't come up with. These are numbers that we don't come up with. These are numbers that are presented to us by the state, and they have an actuary that comes up with these numbers, and they're adjusted each year. If you go on down to the liability section, you'll see that net pension liability, $851,167, and then the other post-employment benefits, the $255,522, and then one other little section down there is the deferred inflows of resources, the $239,598. All those numbers I just mentioned are numbers that are adjusted year in and year out that come from the state actuary. Those are really large numbers, which gives you to that net position, that negative $885,447. The only reason that's negative is because of those pension numbers that we're required to put on the books, and that's just an accumulation of years. Go to the next page, page 9, statement of activities. Real quick, you'll just see the summarized expenses there, $735,068. Far right column, about halfway down, you've got revenues, $737,881, some interest income, leaves you with a change, positive net position of $3,111, gets you back to that net position that I was just referring to on page 8 of the negative $885,447. Go to page 10. This is the other way that I was referring to. And you'll notice here, you'll have your cash, but you won't see assets, you won't see depreciation, you won't see any of the pension numbers that I was referring to a couple pages back. So that's the only difference. It leaves you with a fund balance. In this case, it was a negative $885. It leaves you with a positive $172,143. If you go to the next page, all this is a reconciliation between the two ways that I just explained. So we start off with that first number there, $172,143. That comes from the previous page. I'm sorry, that comes from, page 11, the next page. You've got assets, you got depreciation, deferred inflows and outflows, pension-related numbers. It'll get you back to that 885,447, which is also on page 8 and page 9. So all that is a reconciliation between the two ways I've just described. And the next page is page 12. This, again, is the other way to present on your income and expenses. And so income being the same, your expenses are going to be different because of the way we're required to report them. It leaves you with a change in fund balance of a positive $37,420. Again, leaves you with that fund balance of $172,143 that came from the previous page. And the next page, page 13, is again a reconciliation between those two ways on that income and expenses. So the $37,240 comes from page 12. You've got pension-related and capital and depreciation-related adjustments that are being made. It'll get you back to the change in that position that we had described on page 9, $3,111. I will tell you that the numbers that I've seen this year on the adjustments on the pension and the post-retirement employment benefits are vastly lower than they have. Again, we don't come up with those numbers. They're usually really big numbers. That number on that pension is about $100,000 less in actual expense than what it was in the prior year. So that's a good thing. Again, the numbers are really high as far as the liabilities are concerned, but the actual expense that you're required to put on there is about $100,000 less. The next several pages, again, I won't go through, but I just kind of tell people if you're, which is the notes to the financials that starts on page 14. If you're looking up information, you're looking up accounting-wise, any changes, major changes that have been made, a little bit more detail around some of the numbers that we just talked about. I would guide somebody to the notes to the financials, present a little bit more informative information about an entity. Again, a lot of information, and on note 6, the retirement, there's several pages if you have a hard time sleeping. The next page I'm going to go to is your management letter, and that'll be on page 38. So you have one finding, and that finding is the same finding that you've had in previous years, the same finding that you'll continue to have year in and year out, and that's just lack of segregation of duties. Obviously, you're not going to go hire, it's not cost effective to go hire different people to do different accounting functions within your organization, but if you could, that's what you would do. So, and that's it. Pretty clean audit. You might have any questions, I don't mind answering.
Very good, thank you. Does the commission have any questions for Mr. Crafton? Staff, do you have any questions?
No, sir.
For the gentleman? Anyone else or have any questions for Mr. Crafton? I assume we need to accept this audit. I'll entertain a motion to accept the audit as presented.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second.
Okay.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The audit is accepted, and we thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Next item on the agenda is the rezoning, number 1137. Ms. Marks, I think you're going to help us with that?
Yes. So rezoning 1137 has been submitted by the city of Henderson, which originated a proposal for a map amendment to rezone 75 lots in the Green Acres subdivision, located on Graves Drive, Martin Drive, Carter Drive, and Old Sporting Road in the city of Henderson, from city medium-density residential district, which is R2, to city residential subdivided manufactured home district, RSMH. And as you will remember, the RSMH was recently done back in September. I believe they came and did a presentation on adding that zone to the ordinance for the reason of fitting lots. I don't want to But they're here too, if you have more questions for them. So you will see now that we've got the screen up, this is the area that we're talking about. And we are looking, currently it is R2. I believe it was originally zoned R2 because that was just kind of what would fit back in the sixties when the city annexed it in. So now that we are getting to moving houses out and moving houses back in, R2 standards cannot be met for the type of house that can fit on those lots. So the city, decided to create the new zone, which is the single-family manufactured home district, where they are now, that you can move back a standard manufactured home on these lots and utilize them the way that they were always meant to be utilized. You will see in your packet, of course, on the staff report, that there are adequate utilities here, and that the lots would make it, rezoning to this would make it so that they're able to utilize the lots the way they were always meant to be done. But if anybody has any further questions on that, like I said, we've got Steve and Don both here that can answer those questions, and I do have findings to read into the record if and when you guys are ready for those.
Very good. Commission have any questions for staff?
The only question I've got is just a curiosity. Are there other areas now that will be, this will be applied to, or is it only one spot?
You want me to? Well, I was just gonna say, as of right now, this is the only spot that we are doing, but of course, now that it is in the zoning, regulations, someone else could potentially rezone later on a section to do something similar.
Okay. I didn't know some of the, mobile home parks that we've got around here, if they need to go in like this somewhere.
Don, would you like to address the
Sure.
commission?
So,
I'll need your name,
my name is Dawn Kelsey.
your address,
I live at 637 North Main Street.
and do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much.
Yes. As the commission will probably remember, the difference between, the Green Acres subdivision that we're talking about today and other manufactured home parks is Green Acres are actually divided lots, and they're platted separately, where our other trailer parks or manufactured home parks are one lot, are platted into one lot. Now, one of the things that we believe is now that we have this zoning ordinance in place, that some of our current manufactured home parks that may need cash or may want to update, they could rezone to this and then replat and sell lots, to allow more homeowners, that would own their property as well as their home. And I thought Jennifer did an excellent job on her explanation. The only thing I would say is currently R2 do not allow manufactured homes. That's the other big reason that we wanted to create a opportunity for people who want to utilize this type of housing.
So without this zoning change, then this,
And it's not a conditional use either. They are not allowed, they're not permitted in the R2 zone. And as you will remember, when this was platted back in the 60s, it was made to be a manufactured home subdivision. So currently, we're very fortunate that we have some developers who have taken an interest and are tearing down homes there and wanting to put new homes so that we can have more people, live there, but they currently can't because it's forbidden. So this rezone is really, as Jennifer so eloquently stated, is really designed to allow them to do what this subdivision was always designed to allow, housing-wise.
very good. Any other questions from the commission? Is there anyone else here this evening who'd like to speak in favor of this rezoning? Anyone else? Would anyone like to speak in opposition to this rezoning? Or have anything else to say about it? I'm hearing none. I'll entertain a motion in regard to rezoning 1137.
Chairman.
Oh,
I do-
excuse me, sorry.
No, you're fine. I do
Uh,
have some findings to read as my testimony. if
but
you
before you do that, I need to swear you in, so I need your name,
Jennifer Marks,
address.
1990 Barrett Court, Quincy.
You promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do,
I understand you have findings of fact.
I do, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so for rezoning 1137, the city of Henderson has originated a proposal for a map amendment to rezone 75 lots in the Green Acres subdivision located on Graves Drive, Martin Drive, Carter Drive, and Old Fordon Road in the city of Henderson, from city medium-density residential district, R2, to city residential subdivided manufactured home district, which again is that RSMH. City medium-density residential district, excuse me on that, so residential subdivided manufactured home district is a newly added article, to the zoning ordinance adopted by the city in September of 2022. A proposed motion could be, I move that the planning commission recommend that the Henderson Board of Commissioners, the city, approve rezoning application 1137, changing the zoning classification from medium-density residential to residential subdivided manufactured home district for the subject property. And I would leave the motion open for other members of the planning commission to add findings of fact in support of the motion, because the proposed rezoning is not in agreement with the future land use map of the comprehensive plan. However, the existing R2 zoning classification is inappropriate, and the proposed RSMH zoning classification is appropriate because the RSMH zone did not exist when the property was originally developed. The property meets the intended purpose of the RSMH zone. Rezoning to RSMH allows for the area to maintain its original intended use without displacing residents, and the area is served by adequate infrastructure for the existing home type in the area.
Thank you. Now, do we have any further questions for staff? Perhaps now I can entertain a motion in regard to rezoning 1137. What is the pleasure of the commission?
Chairman, I move that the planning commission recommend that the Henderson Board of Commissioners, the city, approve rezoning application 1137, changing the zoning classification from medium-density residential R2 to residential subdivided manufactured home district, RSMH, for the subject property. I leave the motion open for other members of the planning commission to add findings of fact in support of this motion, and also add into Mrs. Marks' testimony into record.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Kevin Richards.
Yes.
Bobby Jarrett.
Yes.
Mac Arnold.
Yes.
XR Royster.
Yes.
Vicki Johnson.
Yes.
Gary Gibson.
Yes.
Stacy Denton.
Yes.
Kevin Herron.
Yes.
Frank Boyette.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you very much. That concludes the public hearing items on our agenda. I'll entertain a motion to go out of public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are out of public hearing. Next item on the agenda is the June finance report. This is after the audit we just heard. Ms. Curtis, you're gonna help us with that?
I sure will. After the adjustments that the auditors had me to update, we are in it June the 30th, 2022 with 95% of the budget. So there's that fiscal year.
And I have a motion in that regard.
Mr. Chairman, I offer a motion that we approve the June finance report after the 21-22 fiscal year audit.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. We're moving on to the November finance report.
So in November of 2022, we're at 46% of budget.
Any questions? I'll entertain a motion in this matter.
Chairman, I offer a motion we approve the November finance report as presented on this board.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? November finance report is approved. We have no bond report this evening, is that true? Moving to administrative business, I'll call the commission's attention to the attachment, a request from the county judge executive in regard to a map of wet, dry areas in the county that once appeared on the planning commission's website.
Mr. Chairman,
Sure.
I would like to make it clear that, because I have been peripherally involved in this controversy for years, that I'm not gonna, out of an abundance of caution, I'm not gonna take any part in the decision today, but I will be glad to take any questions if y'all have.
Thank you, Mr. Boyette. The executive committee has worked on a reply to the judge's request, and that's what I bring before you this evening. I will read that reply. It is in your packet, and I think everybody's had access to it. Dear Judge Snyder, please consider this letter, the Henderson City County Planning Commission's response to your request of September 15th, asking the commission to review the circumstances related to the posting of a map on the commission's website displaying areas of the county where liquor sales were allowed and where they were not. To the best of our knowledge, the map you refer to was created and posted online in 2014 when the Planning Commission was under previous leadership. The map was created at the request and based on information provided by the Office of the Henderson County Clerk. After the map's accuracy came to be in question, it was removed from the Planning Commission's website in late 2016. Since the removal of the map, Planning Commission staff has reviewed all content on the Commission's website and are confident the remaining material is accurate and properly attributed as to source. The Planning Commission has found that there was no wrongdoing or malfeasance in the creation or the posting of said map. That letter is over my signature. Also this evening, I'd like to share additional information that I would also hope to pass on to the judge. By way of general information, nothing is posted to the Planning Commission website unless, number one, it has been approved by either City Commission, Fiscal Court, Planning Commission, or one of the local utilities, and, number two, it has been reviewed and recommended by a Planning Commission staff member, and then approved by either the Executive Director or Assistant Executive Director. That is what I bring before you this evening, folks. Any questions or comments?
Have these been forwarded, or do we need to take action?
I'm going to ask the commission to approve this reply, and I will deliver it to the judge. The judge has not been made aware of this. Sir, would you like to address the commission?
May I, please?
Yes, of course. Good. Your name,
Most
sir?
of you know me. For
Your
those
name?
of you that do not know me, my name is Steve Arnett.
Your address?
I'm an attorney in Morganfield, Kentucky, and my business address is 109 South Morgan Street, Morganfield.
You promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth this evening?
I do.
Thank you. Please proceed.
I represent Farmer and Frenchman. I was retained by them years ago when they were peripherally attacked. Thank you for those words, Frank. And I immediately met with Tommy Joe and Brian and Claudia, his work mom, at the time. And once it was discovered that there was a questionable document, they immediately took action, and I appreciate that, and I'm here to thank them for taking that action, because it was immediate. Other than that, the safeguards that have been put into place, I think, will hopefully prevent that from happening in the future. And the only other reason that I would be here is to invite everyone to Farmer and Frenchman, and wish you a Merry Christmas.
Does the commission have any questions of this gentleman? About the menu or anything?
Do we get an Arnett discount?
You'll get the same discount that I get, Kevin, I promise you.
Okay, if we have no questions, thank you very much, sir. We
Thank you,
appreciate
sir.
you being with us.
Mr. Chairman, just as a point of order, the statement that you read, should we offer a motion on that to confirm that it's official policy? Or by you reading it in, does that make it official policy?
This is how we conduct business, is that not correct?
Correct. That is our current practice. We've never officially adopted that policy.
Still take action to adopt it. Action doesn't, any condition, correct?
That's acceptable from, yep, not an issue from us.
Okay, so we'll do this in two steps then. Want to deal with the memo first? I'll entertain a motion in regard to the policy and procedure that's outlined in this memo.
Mr. Chairman, I offer a motion to take the verbiage of the memo that was read into the record tonight and have that created as official written policy for the Henderson City Planning Commission.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. A motion and a second. Any further discussion on this? Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Kevin Richards.
Yes.
Bobby Jarrett.
Yes.
Mac Arnold.
Yes.
X.R. Royster.
Yes.
Vicky Johnson.
Yes.
Gary Gibson.
Yes.
Stacy Denton.
Yes.
Kevin Herron.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Then I'll entertain a motion in regard to our reply to the judge's request.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to offer a motion to approve the letter that was written in response to the request from the Henderson Fiscal Court and distributed as was presented tonight.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Kevin Herron.
Yes.
Stacy Denton.
Yes.
Gary Gibson.
Yes.
Vicky Johnson.
Yes.
X.R. Royster.
Yes.
Mac Arnold.
Yes.
Bobby Jarrett.
Yes.
Kevin Richards.
Yes.
Very good. The motion passed. We have another item under administrative business that is not on the agenda, but we need to discuss the required training that needs to be completed by commission members. Would you like to discuss that?
We have 4 members that have not met their required hours for the 2022 continuing education. Those must be completed by December 31st. They've been distributed several times. Information on how you can complete those hours have been distributed. So if you have any questions, or you would like to report to me any education that you have completed, it's imperative that this is complete before December 31st in order to remain compliant in the capacity. So we have 4 members that still need hours, and I would like to hear something from them before December 31st.
Any questions? This really needs to be done.
If you have any questions as to whether or not you're sufficient, feel free to ask me, email me, catch me after the meeting. I'll be happy to let you know.
The only question I got now, our hours that we got this year, when are they done with? At the end of the year?
We start
We
over
begin
January
again
1st,
January 1st.
and you will have 2 years, 2023 and 2024, to complete those hours. It's only 8 hours. You have 2 years to complete.
But everybody beginning of January got to get,
Everyone
Start
starts over
over.
January 1st. Pardon me.
okay.
I can say there are online resources that are satisfy these requirements, and they're not as bad as you might think. Some can be quite interesting. They're good enough for that.
Thank you.
So please give that your attention. Anything else that we need to discuss this evening? Staff, do you have anything else to bring before us?
No, sir. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Anybody else want?
Happy holidays.
Anybody else here have something else they'd like to bring up for the good of the cause?
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you all so much. Thanks for coming out.
There were 4 witnesses.
Discuss, I think it was